Ant-Man and the Wasp officially kicks off Phase 5 of the MCU and does so fairly well.
We both just have to lose.
I'm sorry, Cassie.
Now, there have been a lot of negative reviews that have come out regarding this new Ant-Man film in the past couple of weeks. And I've got to say that for the most part, I really don't agree with those. There are some elements to this film that I didn't enjoy. Most of those involve specific story points that they decided to focus on or that they decided to include that I wasn't a fan of. So I'm not going to go into those in this video because this is a non-spoiler review. But there are a few things that they did in this film that I didn't particularly like. That being said, this is just, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot more entertainment to this Marvel movie, I believe, than what we've gotten in the past several, probably since Spider-Man No Way Home. This is a very enjoyable film, both in the way that it visually looks. For the most part, there are some visual parts that didn't turn out quite as well, but the quantum realm is a really cool area. There's got a lot of great characters. Ant-Man, the Wasp, obviously they stand out as being kind of the main feature of the film, but really the ones that steal the show are Kang the Conqueror, who gives a wonderful performance and starts to establish himself as that new mega villain that we're going to be having in the MCU. And I really liked the way that they portrayed him, the way that they gave this character. The one thing that I was a little bit disappointed in regards to it is that I wish we could have seen a little bit more of his just sheer power. We get some aspects of it in this film, but for the most part, Ant-Man's not really the type of character that you would anticipate fighting Kang, especially for Kang's first appearance. And so I feel like they just didn't really get to show us Kang's full potential because you have to give Ant-Man some chance. He has to have some kind of opportunity in this film, otherwise he's just going to get demolished. And they couldn't have that. So I wish that it had been a different character that they'd introduced Kang through. But at the same time, he's the only character that really has a connection to the quantum realm. So it's the only one that really made sense overall. But Kang's phenomenal. The other villain of this film is MODOK, who in comparison to Kang is nowhere near as good. And the two of them together are kind of a weird match because MODOK is very comic-based. It's a lot of comic relief. And there's some fun stuff with him. I enjoyed him. I liked the way that they factored his character into it. A character like a giant floating head is not something to easily put into a film, but I thought that the way that they implemented it and had it tie in with the other movies was really quite interesting, and I think it worked well. But he also doesn't look very good. When you have just a massive head on screen, it's not the best looking thing. And so he's okay in the film. He's funny. He's got some nice moments, but he is a little weird, and it's a little bit strange. But those are some really good things about this film, was the characters, was everything they give, and most importantly, what this film gives us that the entire Phase 4 was lacking is it finally helps to establish a direction that the MCU is heading. We now have an idea about what's going to be going on with Kang and how that is going to factor in with the rest of the stories in the MCU, eventually leading to the announced Avengers Kang Dynasty. And so I'm very excited for that. I'm excited to see that they established that finally with Phase 5 and that we're going to get a continuation of that story in the next coming movies. Now, when it comes to the cleanliness of this film, there are a couple of things you got to watch out for, but for the most part, if you've watched all of the other Marvel movies, then you're going to be fine to watch this Marvel movie. There is some action, but for the most part, it's pretty standard superhero. There's nothing overly violent. There's nothing gory. There's nothing to it that is really inappropriate. There's no sex. There's no nudity. There's not really any drinking or alcohol or any of that. It's a pretty clean film overall, and one that I think that the majority of kids or viewers are going to be able to watch. For some young viewers, you may want to avoid it, but overall, I think you're going to be perfectly fine watching this movie. So, guys, in the end, I think that Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was a decently good start to Phase 5. I think that it did the things that it needed to do to give us some direction for where they're heading with the MCU. And even if this movie doesn't live up to what we used to get with the Infinity Saga, it's still, I believe, a step in the right direction, and it might show that Marvel is beginning to get back on track. And hopefully, Guardians of the Galaxy coming later this year will be able to once again establish a wonderful and good Marvel movie. So, I enjoyed it. I'd recommend it if you haven't already seen it. If you have seen it, let me know in the comments what you thought, and I'll look forward to seeing you all in the next review.